Council work session for June 20th. Our first item on our agenda tonight is the council review for the Activity Center. Mr. Furward.
Thank you, sir. And I will turn this immediately over to Ms. Hauk. And I think the name of the committee that she's formed for these is our Bond Building Committee. So the first two items tonight will be addressed by our Bond Building Group. So here we go.
Can't turn down a chance for another weekly meeting. So what I want to start out going over with you all this evening is taking a look at where we stand with the Activity Center. And we do have Carrie Newman with SFS here with us this evening. They are the architects on the project, and I know most of you have a relationship with them already from the work that they have done with the City Council so far. So our intent for the presentation this evening is just to remind you where we stand with this building. We are just getting ready to kick off our more in-depth design process with this. So we're at the very beginning stages, and so this just serves as a reminder and a kickoff meeting for the council for this project. So first, all of these renderings that I'm about to show you are renderings that you've seen as part of our bond informational campaign. So this is just the very basic site plan at Rec Park showing where the building is and the general layout of the parking lot, etc., showing where the building is located right off of that main roundabout and the main road through the park. This is the external rendering. Sorry, we'll hit the lights for you. The external rendering of the building. If you recall, we had a conversation at one point about a base version of this building and an expanded version, which included quite a bit more glass on the outside. Based on where the budget figures are coming in, we are moving forward with the design of the base building, and that is the building that was publicized as part of the informational campaign. So a little more basic on the outside, of course, than the expanded version. Here are just a couple of floor plans to take you through, again, what those general components are and how this building can be used. At its most general form, it's a large gym with a same level walking track around the building and then support space off to the side. We have not had any conversations about what the layout of that support space will look like yet. Still just in this very basic state of things. So it could have a multi-purpose use with some tables and chairs if needed. Of course, the one big court with the walking track around it. There's the rendering of the court that would sit in there. So this is the full-size basketball court, or it could be used as two courts for volleyball or some smaller basketball games at some point. This is the quick rendering of the inside of the building. Again, it's the same level walking track that we had talked about, and then the sports space or multi-purpose space in the middle. And then this is just the quick overview of the very baseline schedule where we stand right now. We're, of course, kicking off our internal design meetings and review meetings. We hope to have those completed by November. And so we will be coming to council during that first phase as well for feedback, much like we've done with the DRAW project. So our goal is to get that out to bid and get an approval on the contract by January 2017, then to kick off construction in early 2017 and have our ribbon cutting in November of 2017. So that's the basic overview of this project. I'm happy to answer any questions that you do have, and of course Carrie is here too if there's any questions that you have of him this evening.
Anybody? Mr. Holman.
Is there any opportunity at all in this for any kind of a raised platform or something that could be used for a stage or speaking platform at all?
That could be an opportunity that we take a look at. I think our intent is to have most of those sort of events over here at the Municipal Center activity space, but probably based on the layout of this building, it would be something that would be brought in and then removed just based on the dimensions of the stage, but certainly something we can take a look at.
Yes.
Thank you. Can you just remind me, what was the difference in the price of the basic and then kind of the expanded or upgraded version?
Okay, I'm not sure we have those off the top of our head. So our budget for this was $2.8 million for the building. Right now the cost estimates for the for this base option are coming in at 2.9, so we still are going to have to really tighten some things up with this building. So just based on going through the motions with the base building, it became apparent that we were going to be close on budget anyway with the base option, but I can happily get back to you with that.
Meredith, it seems like your presentation tonight was a little more basic than what we've seen in the past. Do you have some ideas on the direction that the committee is going to go with this particular project? Or are you looking for that from the park board? Are you looking for that from this council?
As indicated, we've really been focusing on the building back here. So this is actually the kickoff meeting for this building. The design committee will be meeting from here on out, and you'll be seeing a little bit more substance to that as we move forward. But we did want to let you know, especially the calendar that's been created for this one.
Sure.
And since, again, we were meeting on the other, this was a good time to begin on this one and kind of give you some of the dollar figures that we're seeing early on, how they actually structure the final RFP. Could include some options, but we wanted to let you know right now where the numbers are ahead of time, just so that we're getting the expectations out there for the possibility of leaning more towards the base model than the other, but it doesn't mean we can't ask for that pricing.
Okay. Mr. Kellogg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last time we had a conversation on this, I remember quite a bit of discussion and questions and suggestions, some of them being around like the bleachers, whether they be pulled out or put away, freestanding, attached. Some other the conversations were the track being raised and some kind of a baluster separating the two, and maybe not that, and then possibly one level. I'm wondering if tonight's figures that we have were with those conversations taken into account.
Yeah, so we did go ahead and explore a lot of those different options, and we do know that it is, the 2.9 does include the same level track for this space, and we're looking at bleachers that come out of the wall that can be expanded and pushed back instead of roll-away bleachers. But like Mr. Fairborn said, this is really the kickoff meeting for it, and so we just wanted to have this baseline conversation with you to let you know this is the direction we're going in, and we'll be back with the more detailed plans and renderings to take a look at, like we've done with draw.
Okay. Did you have something?
I was going to say, we did price both options, the base scheme and then the scheme that had the recessed court and the raised track and some enhancements on the exterior. So we can get back with those numbers because we did price that as well. I was thinking it was around, $4 million plus, but we'll get those numbers back.
Okay. Mr. Moorhead?
It was significantly more than the base scheme.
Considering the stage that we're at, and we do have members of the park board here, Mr. Fairborn, has the park board had a chance to review this, Ms. Hauker, either one? And if they're here, if a member's here, I was curious if they had any thoughts or input they wanted to offer. I know this is a preliminary discussion, but since some of these things about all the features have been discussed, I just wanted to make sure the park board was in line with that.
Yes, I attended the park board meeting last week and gave them a presentation on both of the buildings, very similar to what you're seeing tonight, to kind of take them through where we stand with the activity center, or excuse me, the municipal center, before coming to you with those design features, and then doing a very similar kickoff meeting with them about this building. It is my intent with this building to go to park board more regularly as we get through the process and begin getting feedback from them at meetings as we work our way through, since this will be a key building in their system.
When do you think we might hear back about some potential design options?
I'm not sure yet. We haven't gotten any more detailed in the schedule than what I have up here.
Okay. Anybody else? Just preliminary right now with the timeline. It looks like it's a pretty aggressive timeline, and so we probably do need to let you kind of move forward with that. And Ms. Hubach looked like she wanted to say something.
Yes, I wanted to know just exactly what was going to be in the activity center, a list of the different things. I have not seen that yet. That makes a difference as to whether I want to spend more money or less money. I'd like to know what's going to be in there. Just like a house, if when you build it, you want to know what rooms are going to be in there and how you plan to use them. And I say that is no different from just building a grand house.
Sure.
We need to know exactly what's going to go in there first. Is it going to be user-friendly for the community? That's my main concern.
Well, and I think that's where we're at tonight, is that, you know, we're kind of into that, the stage where, okay, we've got the cash now. What can we really afford to do, and what amenities are we going to have? And that's, your future meetings will kind of outline and delineate a lot more of the specifics that we're going to be looking for in hopefully very soon future meetings, okay? But I think that's, she was just kind of letting us know that the timeline has begun for them to start the process on this facility, the rec park facility, not this facility. Okay? If there's nothing else, we probably move on to the next topic, which is the municipal center. Go ahead, sir.
Just waiting, sir.
Oh, we're waiting for, oh, I got you. All right, got to change seats here and all this.
Hello, everybody.
And I'll turn it over again.
Great. So our conversation about the municipal center will be much more detailed for you all than the activity center. We have Dan McGinn here with DRAW to lead us through this conversation. So I will go ahead and turn this over to him, and we can go from there. Just push this button to the side. Yeah.
Wait, okay, there. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all again. Wanted to provide an update for you on the municipal center. We've worked really hard thus far to hear you out and provide a facility that really matches your vision. And this is your building, so we want to make sure that we get it right. So I've shown this slide a number of times to you all. It's a summary of the things that this project must achieve in order for it to be successful. And just it is just drilled into us at DRAW that we hit these imperatives, and it's actually printed out, and we go over it all the time. So we want to make sure that the spaces we provide for the community are flexible. We want to make sure that you have a bold vision for this project. We want to make sure that the building we create for you matches that vision. It's really important that we gather people together and connect them to each other. We know that this is a legacy project, and that we can't underestimate how important it is. We really want this to be something that is a place for Raymore, something that's authentic to who you are as a community, and really something that supports your identity as a thriving community. Here's the site plan. Oh, I did print out some floor plans, so this might be a good reference, or do you want to wait for that? Okay. So we've worked closely with the building committee and with you all in previous presentations to create a project where not only the building but the site helps to achieve project goals. The site design is all about creating a variety of flexible spaces for residents and visitors to gather and connect. So you can go to events in the building, you can go to events on the site. You can read the newspaper with friends in the lobby of the building or on the patio. You can sit in the sun, you can sit in the shade on the groves on either side of the main lawn, or on the bosque that is adjacent to the lobby. You can take a stroll on the interpretive trail or on the smaller pathway adjacent to the building. You can meet a friend and sit on the steps while your kids play on the lawn. The idea here is to create a range of experiences, and you can see, hopefully you can all see the plan up there, but the building is the center, and the parking lot to the north. The main lawn is labeled as E, the central lawn. On either side of that are a grove of trees that we had a lot of discussion about our last, or maybe 2 meetings ago. And there is an interpretive trail that's labeled H that kind of connects and really takes you through a wide variety of experiences for a stroll. Towards the center is a little gathering node, and we're thinking it has a potential to be a butterfly garden. Okay, let me. Sure. Yeah. So that kind of, if you can remember the design, the main space is the large square, and the administration wing is kind of at an angle, and then that central lobby connects to the lawn, and then there's a pathway that leads straight out to this kind of gathering space that you could either take a path from the building or the interpretive trail. So the whole idea is, again, a range of experiences from shady spots and or more open lawn spaces that are more free form and less programmed. And it's really important to us to also provide a site design for you that changes throughout the seasons. So something that provides a lot of activities and potential for gathering spring, summer, winter, fall, a site that constantly changes. These are just a slide we added towards the last minute here to just give you a sense of the flavor of some of the experiences. Again, strolling, you'll see gathering on the lawn underneath the shade. We're proposing a fire pit on the project, and I can show you where that is when the plan comes up. There's an area adjacent to the lobby. The lower right-hand image is similar to that, where you might have a stabilized crushed granite surface with some cafe tables underneath some trees. The project on the upper right it's actually a project I worked on, but it's a pergola that provides a shady experience that was actually an idea generated from this group. And we haven't done too much on it, but the idea that this, one of the gardens could be a butterfly habitat. So that's something to get feedback from you on. Again, we're hoping that we can get some good thoughts from you on this. So the design of the building, we'll show you two options, and really love to get some feedback from you. So the design is all about harnessing meaningful experiences. So some of the experiences are administrative, and we have housed those. Whoops, I don't have a pointer, but the red brick side there is where the administrative functions are. Some of the experiences require a larger volume, and we've housed those in the larger volume to the west. And if you remember the first diagram I ever shared with you, it responded to the curving street front and the truncated site by kind of cracking the building apart and shifting it, which allowed for a unique lobby experience that connects Municipal Circle with all the landscape experiences to the west. So our goal was to create something that was at the same time both calm and energetic. You can't really tell from this image, but it really is, once you sort of turn the corner and are presented with the lobby space, all that glass, it really is kind of a dramatic experience. At first we looked at two different colors of brick, playing off the colors of City Hall. So we're calling this two-color option, option A, and it has more of a clear aluminum anodized window and panel treatment. Here's the back of option A, so you can see the red brick color and the tan brick color, and you can see the pergola as it extends out over those shaded steps and the lobby beyond. You can see you're sort of in the lawn here between two groves, and you can see the range of experiences. So we really like option A, but we pushed ourselves a bit. We always just try to test our ideas and make sure that we're getting the most out of them, and that either results in a failed experiment or something that's worth presenting. So that's what we wanted to show you. This is option B, which unifies the design a bit more using a single color of brick rather than two, along with having the window mullions and accent panels in a bronze color. So A, B.
So we had some conversation about this as part of our internal meeting, and the group was pretty evenly split between which option we liked the most, with some people kind of going back and forth. And so we would love to get a council decision on this evening, whether we should move forward with option A or option B on the brick color.
Mr. Kellogg, you're going to say A, right? No, go ahead.
It might,
I'm going to say what I have to say.
It might help to just, should I quickly go through the other images, and then I can take any questions? But here's just an image of the main entrance on Municipal Circle. And one thing that's important to note, the way we've structured the entrance sequence, you kind of come in, you look through the glass there at that slatted wood wall that's inside, and that's the community gallery. So we really are trying to highlight work by Raymore residents. Then you kind of take a left to go into the building, and it opens up in front of you from that point on. And this is from the parking lot looking towards the building. Again, the pergola idea, we really embraced that. It does a few things. It kind of gives you a shady entrance as you walk in. It provides a shady spot over the steps and for gathering underneath the pergola. It also just marks the entrance, which is a good thing. Okay, now we could either go into the plans or take comments on.
Let's take a break and talk about the external component of the building. And this doesn't just have to be centered on brick color. If there's any other comments or suggestions you would like us to take into consideration, this would be a great time to share those.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I like option A aesthetically off the bat. When I see option B, the first thing that came to my mind is an older, dated fire station just sitting there. It just looked kind of, and not to slam our firefighters, but when I think about having something there that is timely, leaving a legacy in that, it would lend itself to having more pizzazz than just one monochromic color. I do like the bronze mullions for the windows and that. I think that's a nice option. The reason why I got up to look out the back window is to see what the next door neighbor is. So trying to put that into perspective, tying into what is city, what is Raymore, and the other building back there is not. I wish it was. Not that we didn't try, but I think a design on the order of option A is more of what I feel meets the request and the goal of what we're set out to do.
Stevens.
Given all the windows you got in the back, I think it'd be a real shame not to build passive solar into this. I think all it would take really is a shading device in the back to shade it in the summer and open it up to the south sun in the wintertime.
Mr. Holman, did you have something?
I like option B. To me, it's just a little bit, a little bit cooler and cleaner look. It's a little bit more modern in style. I don't particularly dislike A, it's just the one that appeals to me a little bit more. I think it kind of stands out a little more, and this is a project I think we really want to stand out among all the stuff that we're doing right now. I think this is important. It's going to be the first one coming off of, or out of the blocks, if you will. Just the one I like. Either one of them are fine.
Well, I was probably one of the few that was around here when we designed this facility. And, I think we always saw this facility as the city center when we were talking about the design of it in the beginning. And so, from my perspective, I know I don't have a vote on this, but from my perspective, it is it's wanting to blend in with this facade and that facade in order to show an expansion of the circle here as rather than a lot of separate facilities sitting out there. It's just my opinion. Mr. Morit.
You never actually said A or B on that, so I'm not sure which direction that relates to. But I will say that I also go with option A. I think the red brick is a nice contrast. When I look at this building, the instances where I taught with the single color at Avila and UMKC, those are kind of dated academic buildings, and actually UMKC has gone to this kind of look. My fear in the back is because we have a building in the back and we want to drive people around the entire circle, and a single colored building could almost get bleached out. I like the fact that it has a contrasting color to visually draw you there, to let you know that's the building. Not a huge opinion, but just, I for some reason, I'm drawn to the color contrast.
Mr. Barber?
I'd actually like option B, but I think I would vote for option A, and the reason why is because we need to have some continuity with the buildings. Like you said, there's more of that red brick with this building. I'm also a big fan of the faux stone that, you know, that they do now. I wouldn't mind seeing some of that incorporated as well. And there'd be a time that we're gonna have to upgrade this building, do some upgrades to it as well, and then incorporate those back into this building. So just kind of thinking ahead in that regard. Honestly, I would go with an option C, and that would be stone and stucco, but you don't have that up there. But I would vote for option A, just because I think it would show, we want this whole area to kind of go together and blend together. I think it, and not build one, you know, this is not a neighborhood.
Right.
So I think they need to go together.
Ms. Ubach?
I was gonna say, it makes me think of a school.
Which one? The red one?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Burke, did you have some?
I like the one with the contrasting colors. I went ahead and pulled up pictures of this building to look, and we have contrasting colors here in the City Hall. I couldn't find a picture of the back of the building, but I would assume it's similar on this building. Mm-hmm. And then the view from the parking lot I really liked, and if you look at it, that section there with option A would be red brick, correct?
Correct.
So if you imagine it that way, you'd have that contrast from either way you come in. And it's just a matter of my own personal taste.
That's a good point. Meredith, do you know, now that you said that, that would be red from option A. Would the part under the pergola still be the contrasting tan? So you'd
only on
have
the-
like a two-color contrast there? Okay. Anybody else? Sure.
Jay threw me this piece of candy and threw me off, but I don't like the aluminum windows. I mean, if we could get some kind of colorization, either bronze or some different color than that, just like
Kevin said.
yeah,
I think that's a
Councilman
good
Kellogg said, I think that's kind of an old look, I think, with that aluminum look. My opinion again, so.
Mr. Kellogg? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Kellogg.
would
had
you-
his hand up.
I'm sorry, sir.
Go ahead.
Just trying to get a point of clarification. So are you thinking the contrasting colors, but like a bronze mullion? But with the bronze mullions? Is that, okay.
Do you want to mention that?
So I will just make note quickly that we did try we originally started with the two-color building with the bronze mullions, and it didn't work. And so that's where we came to these two options as two separate pieces.
And I wish I could assure you all, I just wish I could assure you that this won't look like a school and it won't look dated. Just having practiced since 1989, I really wish, these pictures really don't do it justice of what we see when we float around the model and how dynamic it will be with especially the central lobby and the landscape. There are sort of some unique features here that are not in schools. And I know I risk coming across as arrogant by saying that, but it's more that I'm excited for the experience that you'll have on this
Go ahead, Kevin.
project.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, you know, and I don't want to take away and distract from the meeting, but I did glean some insight as when I got up and I looked out the window, you know, what are we gonna be putting beside that building there? You know, I don't know, you know, I don't wanna assume that everybody knows, has a photographic memory of what's back there. But when I see that rendering of option A, it's very cohesive and coordinating with what's there, you know, very neighbor friendly, in my opinion. I'm not trying to sell anybody. We all like what we like, and, you know, none's right, wrong, or otherwise. It's just that's the way we are. What can we get the most bang for the buck, though? You know, I mean, we've got neighbors back there, is what I'm saying, and, you know, if I think option A would go very, very well. Option B would kind of be like a salt box, in my opinion. You know, just one after another, you know, and.
Anybody else? Ms. Hubach?
Are we going to have this put in the newspaper and let people look at it and tell us how they feel about it? Because we're expecting them to pay for it and to use it. I'd like to know how, every time we make a decision, we don't always keep the people in mind. And I would like to know how they think, not just what 8 people think or 9. I would like to see more citizen input on this.
Well, I think we got that in the bond process.
Not really.
Well, I do. I think that they saw what a potential artist rendering was on that, and they voted on that. And for us to start changing stuff a lot right now, I think it's counterproductive. It's going to take up a lot of time, and we're going to probably not meet our deadline by next April if we keep dragging our feet and asking for input from this spot and that spot and every other spot. I just don't think it's going to work.
When I looked at that, it made me think of the Southwest, because we had a meeting not too long ago, and we said when it came to landscaping, we wanted semi-formal with branches and bushes and things like that. And yet this has an informal look to it. So what is it we're really trying to do? And I am older than the rest of you, and so I see things maybe a little bit differently than you do. But I didn't see anything in the building that's presented to us so far that would make me want to say, hey, I'd like to go and spend an afternoon there, or I'd like to go and spend the morning there, or call up somebody and say, let's meet and have a cup of coffee there. I haven't seen that yet, and that has to come from inside. And so why aren't we talking about what we're putting inside and not worrying? Seems to me like we're worrying more what the facade is going to be than we are what we're putting inside. And I'm not sure that that's the best way for us to go. Remember that 1 in 5, it will be 65, so this is really being built for senior citizens. And is this the kind of a building that they would want to use? Is it user-friendly? Can you go ahead and get from your car into the building with a minimum of effort? I don't see that you can. It really concerns me, because we're expecting this to be part of what's going to be downtown Raymore, and I don't see anything that would say, hey, we want you to come down and spend an afternoon or a day or a week with us.
Okay, Mr. Moorhead.
Ms. Hubach, this isn't a counterpoint to you, but I appreciate your comments. I will say, to kind of respond to that though a little bit, this week this has really affected me. One, because I'm still completing some of my legal ethics requirements for the bar, and so I have to go to seminars this week and next week. And these are the kind of facilities that I'm going to all around the city. This is very appealing to compared to some of the other things that I've gone to that are much more sterile and uninviting. I'm also, as you and I dealt with the Community for All Ages this week, it's not just people over 60. We want children to come up and use this. We want school activities here. We want professional activities here. So we're kind of having to, this kind of a buffet. There's a lot of different items on this table that we want different people to come and utilize this. So we have to be somewhat flexible and accommodating to the masses as we can. The only criticism I would say is I would be hesitant to put this out to 20,000 people just because of a color. The fear is I think we'd get every color on the color spectrum coming back as far as a request. We've got 2 very good, well thought out proposals before us. I mean, even the comments from the council were not just singular and I mean, both options have gotten some consideration. So I respect your concerns. I think these are needing to be taken into consideration, but as a person who will probably use this a great deal, this is very inviting for the kind of things that I would use it for, as well as my family.
Well, what I am concerned about is what goes inside the building, not so much the facade. I want to know what the inside's going to be.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there.
So I think
Coming
that's
up,
more
Mr.
important
Holman?
than the color.
Mr. Holman, did you have something?
Sonia may have had her hand up before I did. I liked, like I said, I liked option B, and I think it probably was after Kevin brought it up. I think I liked the look of the bronze, the contrast between the dark and the white, and I just really set it off. And we talked about the option of doing the bronze on the red brick, and they said it didn't work very well. So basically, as the lone dissenter in this, and I wasn't a strong dissenter, I think you pretty much have consensus. When Sonia was wanting to speak, but I think you've got consensus for option A.
Did you have something, Sonia?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I agree, we need to think about all the people in the community, but looking at the plan, it seems to me like this building doesn't have steps going up into it. It's all one level. All of the walking trails in the back are connected to sidewalks or paved paths, and so there's that opportunity for those paved walking ways back there, as well as playing on the grass and having some variety for different ages and different ability levels. I feel like we've taken that into context and into our thoughts. I prefer option A. I think that the contrasting colors is very good, but I was a little curious when Meredith said it didn't work. What does that mean, it didn't work?
That's when I just kind of leaned over and I said, if the consensus is option A, then we'll definitely focus in on making option A as good as great as possible. So that would be looking at the bronze color a little bit more in depth. You know, it was sort of, we showed it to the working group and they were like, well, maybe not, but this is exactly the kind of feedback that we needed in order to then take it and push it. And
Ms. Barber?
Thank you. I don't want to gang up on Ms. Hubach, but I can remember we just had a piece of ground at the farmer's market, and people showed up, and that exploded out there. So this building that we're looking at here is going to be our Swiss Army knife, but what's important really is what goes on in the building. That's what's going to bring people to this building. So we really, as we design it, and I think we're thinking about this, you know, how that's going to affect everybody that's going to be utilizing the building. But again, we found out that just a piece of ground will draw people in. The things that we did to the farmer's market was a huge enhancement, and that's just gotten even better. So we just think we need to be thinking as we design it, what we're going to be doing inside it as well. So thank you.
Mr. Kellen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hear what the architect is saying as far as, you know, the bronze mullions, okay? I'm not an architect. I'm not an artist. I wish I was. I should be colorblind. But, you know, I favor bronze. You know, I've got all bronze hardware in my house because I like that. You know, it wasn't like that, you know. But it doesn't mean that it's going to work in somebody else's house or at City Hall or something like that. And it's the same thing with that, too. I'm not saying that bronze, I'm absolutely, but a different idea other than tired old gray is, you know, that's where I'm at. You know, and I guess when I say that is that I'm kind of reaching for a feature that I actually personally like. Mm-hmm. You know, if it's not that, you know, if you could bring something into that some other place, I would encourage that. There's nobody better to design a building than an architect, in my opinion, because you ask me to do it, it's not going to look like, you know. So I'll give you bronze mullions, but nobody's going to like it, you know. So I have confidence and faith in our consultants and that. That's why we hired them. You know, that's their job. They're tasked to bring us back something that is appealing to a very large group of people. They've done the research. This is their expertise, you know. So I trust in them in that. So I'm just giving my feedback to them for them to hear it, for them to take it back, consider it, and draw those into their overall plan.
Okay, Mr. Burke?
I just want to focus in on, this is going to be the view that the majority of the people that ever go in this building to use it are gonna see, because it's closest to the parking lot. If you've got 50 stalls out here, most of the people are gonna be coming from this direction. And I love this view. I think this looks awesome. I really like that. I think it's great. And that's all I have.
Thanks. Meredith, next.
Good. So what I'm hearing this evening is we like option A. We will move forward with that, and we will explore creating some more contrast with the mullions and see what other color choices we could work in there. Okay, so now let's move on to what we were all just talking about, is what's going to be happening inside of the building. And I will hand out a floor plan so that you may all have this at your seats and can see it a little easier.
Yeah,
I think there should be.
there's more coming.
So maybe,
Yeah, please.
Oh, that is cool.
okay, are we all distributed?
The cover here.
So we'll show you a number of different ways that furniture can be used in the building and support different functions. Just I'll start here, but just so you're ready for it, then we'll have a slide that talks about what these different spaces are, and then different furniture arrangements that show different functional layouts. So just wanted to give you a little context there. But we're at about 9,200 square feet, type 5B construction. We worked closely with the codes folks, which we really appreciated that meeting, and the gentleman's over here, appreciate that. We checked bathroom count and made sure that we were good there, and actually we're one above the bathroom count. The building will be sprinkled and have a fire alarm system, and the current plan iterations also show a response to some previous comments we've gotten from this group, including the shade structure added, which in the plan shows up as these dots that kind of flank the building and also connect from the parking lot. We've confirmed that all the vestibules meet both ADA and egress code. We've worked to make the sidewalks and the trail system meet up to create kind of a loop that would be appealing for a certain demographic. We're hitting all the city width requirements. We've added ceiling fans to the community room and lobby, which we think is just a great idea and will make it more comfortable and save energy. Making sure that the HVAC system is adequately sized for each space. We'll make sure that there's ample sound control and that there's amplification that's designed appropriately for every space that has a number of people in it. And we've worked with the parks folks to make sure that their needs for storage are covered. So this is kind of set up for a banquet, you can see. And just in this mode, any of these rooms can change furniture arrangement. So while the banquet's going on, you can still come here and meet some friends and have coffee and kind of be in the midst of this kind of exciting space that connects to the landscape to the east and to the entry there. I mentioned earlier the idea of a bosque. That's just this grouping of 8 trees that you might see in certain, I'm going to go back actually because it's kind of a new idea from our last iteration. The lower right. It's kind of a shady, more intimate space that as you are in the lobby, you're able to kind of look out through it. It gives you a place where you might want to just go and spend some time. And it's also would be a nice space in different seasons. I mentioned a fire pit earlier. We kind of put that here. It's not going to be the focus of all 4 seasons, so we didn't necessarily want to make it the hearth of the entire building. It's more of a place to go during the swing months when a little bit of warmth would be nice. This is showing some Adirondack chairs that could just be spread out underneath the pergola. They could really, in our minds, show up wherever people take them because it's meant to be a space where people adapt to and make it their own within limits. and storage for all the tables and chairs there. There's the catering kitchen or the warming kitchen. This is up here on the right. I should go to the next slide because it has the labels. The meeting room is up in the upper right. This is the open office and the private offices. And this is, the great lawn is this space that the lobby is opening up to. And then the community room kind of opens out to the pergola as well as looking under the canopy of the South Grove. And just to let you know some other iterations that could happen. So this is sized for a banquet of 240 with 16 in the meeting room, casual seating in the lobby and pre-function area, casual seating in the bosque and on the patio. And depending on what happens here, that might shape what happens out there. This is designed for what could happen if there are two events. There's a divider that goes right down the middle of the community room that gives us the ability to have about 240 in the larger space and about 150 in the smaller space. It could happen at one time. And we've also shown that this room, again, is intended to be flexible, so depending on what might happen out there, you could shift the furniture around and that could support that. This is, if there was a larger lecture, we can have up to 400. We might have to rent a few chairs if we had an event that large, but that would be a nice size lecture or community meeting. And just some quick images of what the lobby space might look like. So you'll see this wood that occurs throughout the kind of central core of the building, and that's what we're hoping would be some reclaimed barn wood from a historic barn. The name of the barn escapes me. And that's, there's not an unlimited supply of this wood, so we're trying to use it. We're not trying to spread the peanut butter too thin, and we're trying to use it judiciously right around the central core of the building. So this is kind of the check-in counter with the wood beyond, and this kind of functional storage for various items along there that could be for different kinds of equipment, for informational brochures. Again, this would be the community gallery there. And this is the connection looking out underneath the bosque to the Great Lawn.
So this view is if you've just walked in the building, essentially, and you're standing at the front door looking out to the back lobby, or to the back lawn area.
Yeah, your back is to Municipal Circle. This is the community room, and you can see how the wood central core kind of sort of anchors the space. We've got the larger fans there, and this is kind of laid out for a banquet. You can again see, even though we're trying to use simple, durable materials, that we think of the building's materials as brick, glass, wood, and landscape, because we really think that fourth wall is always going to be changing landscape. That's probably, I believe, once it's built and you get comments back, I bet you that's what you hear, is that the connection between the inside and the outside is kind of a unique experience.
Mr. Ebach, did you have a question?
Yes, I'm disappointed in that the space for the park department is so limited. In 1970, we had our first park, and in the 45 years since then, we have never had a home for the park department. It is never, and I was hoping that this was going to be something that would make a home for them. And they're going to have more than just 3 members that are going to be in management. It should be twice the size. They got 9 people right now, I think, full-time, if you consider it full-time, working there. They've already got 3 managers or superintendents or whatever you want to call them, directors, and they have no room for expansion on this area at all. When we had the park in the first Saturday, it was just the park by itself. Now we've got park, we've got recreation, we've got ecology, we've got all kinds of things. We've got the art council, we got all of that to add to that, and we haven't added any more space to them. I think that part is It's really a big disappointment to me, because I was hoping that we would have something that would be of value to the park board that they could use, but it doesn't seem like it. And there's only one meeting room listed. The other two down here are listed as community rooms, but more convention style. So where are the police told us that they wanted small meeting rooms. Where are they? They're not in here. There's nothing like that. One meeting room that comes in, lets you get in from the outside there, and then the toilets, that's another object. But then back here on the community rooms, where's the head table going to be? Because it looks to me like the kitchen is pretty worthless, as far as it's only to be a warming, so you can't have much. Everything that you plan to put in there is going to have to be brought in. Food's all going to have to be brought in, because you don't have the kitchen facilities to do anything right then and there. And that's a big disappointment to me, because the different organizations that I belong to, all of them would use more of the kitchen than what you're showing right here. And I think it says it's going to be a warming kitchen. A warming kitchen doesn't do much if you're having to bring all of your food in with you. I'm disappointed.
Well, with regard to the staff personnel, this is just one of two large buildings that we're getting ready to go with, belong to the park board, but Mr. Fearborn had a response to that. He wanted to
But
provide.
you also got to saying earlier that this was going to, when you talked about having some of those little meeting rooms, that this is what this room was going to be doing. And I don't see how it's going to do it. There, you've got back here where you've got part of the tables is back there by the kitchen. I don't know anybody that puts tables back behind the head table. You have to have them in front and not behind. The kitchen, if you want to go in on that, the door is open inward. I don't know if that's necessary or not. But if you're standing behind the counter there, you're going to be hitting the back by either one or two of those doors. That's not good sense. And then back here on the back part of it, where you're making the L shaped, that means that if somebody is on one side of the L, nobody can be on the other side, because there again, you're interfering with people standing around. I think that this ought to be more than a warming room. It should allow for events to take place, but there's no way to take an event. Everybody's expected to bring food in, and that's not going to happen in a friendly atmosphere.
Mr. Burke, did you want to respond?
Yes, I'd like to. I was going to say something at length about being a groundskeeper for 10 years for two different schools, university and a school district. But I think the long and the short of it is, I believe a lot of this has been discussed at multiple meetings, and I feel like that we had reached consensus about a lot of the issues that are being addressed here, and so I'm going to limit my comment to that.
Yeah, and Ms. Hubach, if you'll look up there in that corner that's labeled 8, 9, and 9, you've got 1, 2, 3, and 8. You've got 2 in the first 9 and 2 in the second 9. That's 7 desk positions there, not just 3. So there's room for 7 personnel there. Then you've got the one reception desk, that's 8. That's quite a few folks in that one building to manage the one building and still be able to manage some of the other parks facilities. But Mr. Fearborn, I think, had something to add.
We're also, as an alternate to the main bid, there will be an alternate for the contractors to bid on, which is basically a larger administrative wing, which stretches those offices and actually makes them larger. Not sure about the overall budget, but if we can get it in within budget, the first option of alternate would be to expand this wing, which would allow for even more room for the parks.
Okay. Anyone else?
Where do you?
Mr. Holman's got something. Mrs. Hubach? Mr. Holman?
As you stated, to your point, Mr. Mayor, we'll have additional offices at the activity center at Rec Park. So I think Parks Department's going to be fairly well staffed with offices by the time these buildings are there. I think it is certainly prudent to look into the option of maybe upsizing the offices themselves a little bit. I just wanted to comment that of all the slides I've seen tonight, these last series that you've shown, I really think make things pop. I like there's a little bit of contrast in the color. I guess we're going to have to go with white linen tablecloths, because it really makes the wall really stand out over there and looks really nice. But I like this design. This is, I think, very inviting, and I think this is exactly the kind of thing that people were talking about at the community conversations. I think this will be very popular.
Now, Ms. Hubach, did you have something else you wanted to
I wanted to know where the head table was supposed to be, where you're going to have the stage and everything there for your speakers. Is it right there by the kitchen? Is that little area right there?
No.
Where is it?
It's,
I would be
There's-
happy to
go ahead.
point that out up here. So if you have in an event space, likely your head table will be over here in this area. The kitchen does have an ability to have a wall that opens up to create a pass-through between the two, but this would likely be where you would set up your bar area. And then at an event, let's say a wedding, your head table would probably be somewhere over here. If you're looking at different meeting setups, we are going to have projection screens set up in 3 different places. We'll have an ability to project on this wall and then an ability to project in these 2 separate places. And then again, this is a perfect area to have some high top tables, a bar set up if you're having a formal event at nighttime. The space is really pretty versatile. And it's nice to have that pass through from the kitchen next to any place you might be serving beverages, etc. We did actually talk through food quite a bit as part of this, and making sure that we were set up to do buffet lines, that everyone could access the kitchen, even if the 2 spaces were divided. And the smaller meeting space is also a great space that can be used for food prep, etc. It would all have to be brought in because it's only a warming kitchen, but we do feel that this does meet the needs of any large-scale event that you might be hosting.
okay, Mr. Fearmore?
And I was just going to add to that, to speculate on where a particular wedding party or a particular bride wants to put her head table, I would never go there. I did that with my daughter, and I'll never do it again, thank God. So really, the head table would be wherever the folks wanted the head table to be. And, you know, some folks might want the backdrop, because this room lends itself to it. They might want the backdrop of the head table to be looking out on the nature, or they may want it in a corner, or they may want it on the other side so that people can access the outside pretty good. But we want to be able to give the people those options. And yeah, I think that Dan and his team were thinking about that when they kind of put all of these different types of looks together for one room.
Sure, it's very flexible. Mr. Moorhead? Oh, Sonia, did you?
I agree. I was going to say something similar to what Mr. Fairborn said. I think that these rooms have lots of different opportunities for focal points and lots of flexibility. I think that's great. And kind of going back to the kitchen thing, when we talked about this many times ago, we really talked about the kitchen. And I remember the difference in the cost being quite substantial. And so the kitchen and the facilities in the kitchen is something that has been already discussed at great length and decided upon.
Yeah, I think for preparation purposes, you wouldn't necessarily want to prepare the food there. It's all going to be catered at some point and kept there and dispersed from there. But to actually prepare a meal in that facility, it's not what this is designed to do.
So this is not, for instance, to have a famous chef come in and do a demonstration or do anything like that. We would be limited in what we could do in the kitchen area. It's going to be mainly just bring in your drinks and whatever else that you can bring in with
Well,
you.
there'll be warming tables that they can keep their food warm there, but as far as the actual preparation will be done off-site, you know, unless you're wanting to do sandwiches.
Ms. Hubach, I would only add, as my brother-in-law is a chef, the times they've brought chefs in from out of town for events like this, no chef cooks right on the spot. They typically bring it in partially and then use the warming or catering kitchens to kind of put it together. But even in cooking demonstrations, they don't have a full-blown kitchen. They don't want one. So this is suitable for cooking events as well.
Anything else? Meredith, did you have a next?
No, this is the end. So tonight, we are just looking for final feedback. We're ready to begin preparing the final design documents. So if there are any changes to substantial pieces of this design, it would be helpful for us to know that this evening so we can begin making those changes.
Well, I think the first one, of course, was the exterior. That was the big thing to kind of start zeroing in on. I'm not sure there's a lot of disagreement with what the interior is. Mr. Kellogg?
No, I don't have any disagreement with what the interior is. I'm just kind of, I'll ask this question, and I believe it's been answered, but I've got some confusion about it. As far as for the restroom facilities and how many stalls there are, is that properly sized for what we're expecting there?
Yes, it is. We've been working with John Warner to make sure we have the appropriate number of restroom facilities. The size of this space also required us to put in a family restroom, which you can see indicated on your floor plan. And as Dan said, we're actually oversized in that area just a little bit.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Holman?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank both Draw Architecture and staff for the what you really brought to life. Perhaps it was your vision all along, but with the pergola and what I refer to as a transition space outside, I think it's going to make a huge difference in this project by putting that shade structure over there, the fire pit design, and all of this outdoor during moderate and even chillier or warmer weather is going to be space that people can utilize, and will go well beyond that 300 limit that we talked about, because they'll be able to move back and forth between the two spaces. Thank you very much. This is good work.
And to address what I think is the confusion here, the mailing did not have the family restroom on it. Dan was still working on that, so the smaller sheet that you're looking at, sir, would not include a family restroom, but you would see it on the large one that we passed out.
Oh, okay.
Sonia?
Thank you. I just wondered, and it really doesn't matter, I'm just curious, what's this little thing? Can you see what I'm looking at?
This thing right here?
Yes.
Little box off to the side.
Utilities, screen for any utility kind of stuff that could happen.
So that's a side. There's not really much happening along this side. Those are fire exit doors on that side, and then the utilities would be screened right there as well.
Meters and stuff.
I have a question after everybody.
Ms. Hubach?
I understand there's going to be 50 parking places, right?
How many?
50, is that what you all said? 50 parking places, but you're planning to have 300 to 400 people available. Where are they going to park? Usually you figure on a car, 1 to 2 people in there. So if you got 50 parking places, you're basically just going to have 100 places for people to park. So where is the rest of it going to be?
Sure, I'm kind of a parking guru, having been a cop for 36 years, but I see the circle here being used quite a bit. Oftentimes our front lot's going to get used. A portion of our back lot's going to get used with open spaces, because a lot of these things occur in the evening and on the weekends, the events that'll be going on. And so you're not going to have your city employees parked up front up here. The circle itself will hold about another 30 or 40 cars. And if we have some other configurations going on the streets around us, maybe Sunset, and all of it is shared parking, even the building across the way over here where there's parking back behind it as well. Frederick's office, yeah. Scott Frederick's office. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I'll thank you. I'll chime in. Part of the municipal circle overlay district is that shared parking is a requirement. Anybody is free to use any parking lot there is there. So, yeah, we are adding 50 spots there, but just like what you said at Frederick's law office, and then City Hall, everywhere, it's, I don't want to say it's a free-for-all, but it is a free-for-all. That's part of the agreement when you build municipal circle, and I remember that being talked about many different times throughout our discussions too. So,
Sure.
Meredith, how many available spaces were there? 165, I think?
Yeah, we were appropriately sized to have an event space of over 300 people, assuming 2 people per car.
Okay. Moving on. All right.
I have one more slide quickly, just
Sure.
to update you all on the schedule. So as you know, we finalized Draw's contract last week, and so this is the updated schedule. And so we are looking at a ribbon cutting in April 2017 based on the revised schedule. So we will keep you updated. If we make up any time on this along the way, of course, the winter season and construction season plays into this a little bit, but this is where we stand right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for being here with us tonight.
Sure, thanks a lot. It's an honor to work on this project.
Next item on the agenda is the strategic plan update. Mr. Fearborn.
Thank you, sir. We just wanted to use this opportunity to update the council on, we've kind of hit a milestone stage relative to the strategic plan and actually moved beyond, but the council will remember that that you all had a preliminary approved 4 strategic focus areas associated with the plan and directed staff to go back, and we were going to start coming up with the goals that we felt were associated with achieving each of those focus areas. And then the strategies necessary, we were actually taking it to 2 steps, then the strategies necessary to hit each of those goals. And we'd moved beyond that, as you note from my memo. We actually have moved into, staff has actually moved into the action steps associated with achieving the strategies to achieve the goals to address the focus area. And we have near on 200 of those action steps, which are really, in a lot of cases, some of the low-hanging fruit that we can hit so people can really see us moving forward with this. Thought it might be a good idea at that point to put on the brakes and find out how the council is feeling about the strategies and our goal areas relative to each of the strategic focus areas. Handed it out to you all tonight, actually with the intention of giving you a little bit of time to digest this. Staff is going to continue to work on it, but we're going to reach that point in time where the action steps kind of need to be prioritized to where you all feel that's a strategy that I really want to see addressed now. And kind of thought we'd come back. I'd originally, well, I'll get to that here in a second. We thought we'd come back in about a month and talk with you all again about it, giving you time to read through these, kind of make your notes to them, come up with whether you like the strategies that are associated with these and the goals, and B, how would you like to see us prioritize those? And the goal was originally, I would put 2 options in front of the council. We could meet on this on July 18th, which is the next scheduled work session, because July 4th falls on a Monday, or if the council would like me to look at some way to schedule a special meeting during the week. I know that's tough on everybody in July, and it's especially tough the July 4th week because there's a lot of people on vacation, but we've also got a lot going on. I know I keep saying that. I also know, I think it's either July or August, there are 5 Mondays. So we'll have the opportunity to make up for one at some point there too, if you wanted to wait till July 18th on this. And that'd give you about a month to take a look at it and really get your notes together and get your thoughts together on it.
Well, I'd like to encourage July 18th. I'd like to get on this as quick as possible. This is what, my 3rd or 4th year where I know to expect that big nasty budget binder right about August 1st. And with capital improvement or the CIP, we may take a direction on some of this stuff that changes our priorities in our existing plans. So before we start approving budgets and getting into that thought process, this strategic plan needs to synchronize with that. So I would rather us push maybe 1 or 2 of our traditional work session topics a little later, since we could always pick up that extra Monday in August if we feel we're behind. But this, I think, takes priority. We have a month to be able to look at it. Jim, you just said you could throw out some ideas with us on this, but I'd rather see us prioritize this, because again, when we start getting the binders and looking at money, we can come up with a great idea, but if we're not going to fund it, why are we doing it? So these 2 do dovetail.
Mr. Kellogg.
I'm going to agree with Councilman Moorhead on that, and I'm going to also add in here that, this is something that we've been anxious for, and I'm very anxious for it. I'm not willing to put it off for a week or 2 weeks, you know. I signed up to do what it takes to be city councilman and move the city forward. So, with that said, I'm ready to go. I really don't like 5 meetings in a month, but that's how busy we've been, you know. We had a week off and I rejoiced in it, you know, and I'm refreshed, you know, but this is big stuff. I'm not comfortable with even delaying it a week, so I'm looking at July 18th and I'm good with.
But that is a month. We're in June still.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry.
It's that leap year thing. I'm sorry.
That's all right. It is going to make it hard for us to meet, I think, real quick within a week or so, having been just given this. Well, you forwarded it to us a few days ago. I mean, I'm kind of with Derek here. I think July 18th gives us a lot to digest here. And if you're able to drill down a little bit more and feed us a little more information, thoughts, ideas, how you want to move along, subsets to the different strategies, so we can kind of see what it is that you guys have in mind as well, so we can start prioritizing. I think we can move a lot individually and then come together on the 18th and just hit this thing as one issue on the 18th and really drill down and work hard on it. Does that sound okay? Mr. Holman?
Yeah, I just had a check for understanding question. I'm good with the 18th as well, and I think we should move on it quickly. Jim, you talked about action steps, and just as for a check of understanding in the outline format, we're looking at goals, and which is broken down then into strategies, and then as action steps, the next subcategory beyond the strategies. Am I correct in that thinking?
Absolutely, sir. And if I could find the page here. As an example, the last page of it where you see this table right here, it's on, mine didn't number, but the, before the cue. What you see there is one of the strategies, determine the desired image of Raymore. And then we're actually working within this matrix box that you see now, and that's where we have, it's actually 198 of these. And then suggested measures of success to go back up to it, we've been working very, very hard on those as well. And so within this one, for instance, determining the desired image of Raymore, proposed action step. Meredith, could you give me a proposed action step for that one? Hire a branding consultant as an action step. Department identified, city council, city manager, timeline is already, those are all plugged in there. The ones that, naturally the box that we're working on is estimated cost. I think they're all trying to frustrate me with that.
And just for clarification, you did say that staff had already developed roughly close to 200 action steps out of this plan. Is that correct?
Staff has had the best time with this project. We've been meeting on it after every single management team, and the conversation goes on without wasting time. It is very concentrated, goes on for at least an hour every single time. Really trying to, and I'd encourage the council to read real carefully the rationales within each of those, because that's a lot that got generated, and it really generates a lot of really good conversation relative to each of those goals. But yeah, we've been working really hard and are going to continue on it even as this is going on, because we want to, internally, we know you're going to come back and go, okay, well, we really like this goal, prioritization of the strategies, 3, 2, 1. And so what do you got for action steps to hit that number 3? Because we'd really like to see that one, and we see some low-hanging fruit there. And then, of course, we're going to want your feedback on all of those action steps as well. Maybe this is a better way to tweak it. So as everybody has indicated, a lot of work to be done, a lot of good work here for you all to be digesting. Really proud of the staff and the way they've been working on this.
Jim, on the strategic focus areas, you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. Are those prioritized as far as the feedback that we got through the Reimagine Raymore? Or are those just focus groups that have been identified?
Those are
areas?
focus area, those are the 4 final focus areas that the council approved, but they're not, there's no priority order
Priority,
to them.
okay, all right.
Right.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Awesome.
Thank you,
Anything
sir.
else?
That's all.
That's all?
One comment,
Sure.
but make a comment on this strategic focus about our community identity. We went this couple of days ago over to, was it West Wind, or Westwood, or whatever it was, and we like to never found that those towns over there are not marked at all. All you can do is just go up and down one street and hope eventually that you'll find the one that you're looking for. I didn't realize that they were so poorly identified. Raymore's done a good job of identity.
Hint of one of the action steps, I think, had some terminology relative to wayfaring signs, wayfinding signs.
Wayfinding.
Ms. Hubach, it's the state of Kansas. I don't think it needs, I don't think we need to say any more than that,
I think
so-
you're right.
Wrapped it all up right there.
Okay, well, if we don't have any, we have no, is there anything else? I noticed under item D, there's other. Does anybody have anything else? If not, we have no executive session tonight, so we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Do you want to call Clay